Some things we grew up believing are just plain wrong. Like when your mom said, "Don't eat too much sugar or you'll end up with a cavity." Well, it turns out that's an oversimplification. Sugar consumption is linked to tooth decay, but it's more about how often you eat sugar, not how much. Now, let's bust some of the most common myths ever. Myth no. 1. We only use 10% of our brain. Nope, that's a total myth. Using only 10% of our brain would mean the other 90% is useless. But brain scans show we use most of our brain, just not all at once. Different parts of our brain are active at different times, depending on what we're doing. Now, where did this myth come from? Well, it's unclear, but it's been around for a long time. Back in the early 1900s, a self-help author named William James popularized the idea that we only use a small part of our brain and the rest is untapped potential. This myth has also been fueled by people claiming that certain techniques or therapies can help us access this so-called unused brain power. But there's no scientific evidence to support any of that. In fact, brain scans show that even when we're asleep, we use almost all of our brain. Myth no. 2. Gold can recognize other gold. Ever tapped to gold rings together to test if they're real? Yeah, that's not a thing. Gold is a great conductor of electricity, so it might feel like there's a connection between two gold items when you touch them together, but that's just a transfer of electrons between the two objects. And it doesn't mean that gold has a special ability to recognize other gold. This myth likely originated from a misunderstanding of how electricity works. After all, gold is a great conductor of electricity. So when you touch two gold items together, it's easy to assume that there's a special connection between them. But, as we said before, it's really just a transfer of electrons. And finally, let's bust one more myth. Myth no. 3. Reading in the dark ruins your eyesight. It can strain your eyes short-term, but it doesn't cause permanent damage. This myth likely came about because reading in dim light can cause eye strain, headaches, and even make you feel nauseous, but it won't lead to permanent vision problems. Our eyes are pretty adaptable, but prolonged reading in dim light can be uncomfortable. So it's best to find a well-lit spot and take breaks to reduce eye strain. How many of these did you believe growing up? Drop a comment below. And remember, just because something is a myth doesn't mean it's not important. For example, even though we use all of our brain, not just 10%, taking care of our brain health is still super important. So keep learning, stay curious, and keep asking questions. And who knows, maybe one day you'll be the one busting myths.